Hi guys, this is MJ, and in today's video I'll be talking about how do you get an ENTP to open up to you. So I have made a video about INTJs already, INFJs and INFPs. I'll be doing the rest of the types as well, and so I'll try to make it short because I want to go through all the types. Um, First things first, you have to know if the person that you're dealing with is an ENTP, an actual ENTP. There are a lot of mistyped ENTPs as well. Some of them are mistyped ENFPs or ENTJs or whatever. So you have to really be keen on knowing if the person that you're dealing with is an actual ENTP. So once that's out of the way, then you can kind of like consider if the advice that I'll give you will be helpful to you. How do you get an ENTP to open up to you or to get close with an ENTP? First of all, you can't. You cannot. I would go as far as saying that in the same way that I think it's harder to get close with an INTJ, it's almost of the same level, if not harder. Because an ENTP is way more protective of their trickster FI, even more so than an INTJ. It's hard to get through an ENTP's wall because if I'm talking about you go through tests with an INTJ or you go through tests with an INFJ, you go through a lifelong of tests with an ENTP. So this is not something that you'd want to mess up. I mean, you don't want to mess up with any other type also, but like what I'm saying is just don't mess this up as well. One of my longest friendships is with an ENTP. Like we were friends since I was 8. So imagine like 20 plus years of friendship with that person. And they're on 8 wing 7. The chaos. But yeah, I have a few ENTP friends as well. And one thing that I've noticed about ENTPs is that they can count the number of the friends that they have with their fingers. It means, and what that means for you is that it's going to be extremely harder to get and penetrate through an ENTP shell. So yes, you have to be very mindful. Oh my god, my dog. Ignore them. How do you get through an ENTP's wall? Okay, there are 2 layers to this. Series of tests and when you're already in. An ENTP can make you think that you're close with them or that they're opening up. But it doesn't mean that they're opening up to you, and it doesn't mean that it's a friendship. You know, sometimes it's done strategically because you're opening up to them and that you're open up to you. And so, you know, it's just merely an exchange. It doesn't mean shit, honestly. So that's something that you have to consider in mind. Very often, of course, they'll share some things, but these are things that they share with anyone, you know, that they can share with a random stranger as well. So you have to be mindful of whether or not what they're sharing with you even is a big thing. Not that it doesn't matter, but honor that, respect that, because it's the little things that add up eventually that will help you form a friendship with an ENTP or even get close to them or get to date them. An ENTP might be dating you for God knows how long, like 5 years, but still have not told you anything remotely that happened to them when they were growing up. Traumas or problems. And they would even go as far as like be more open to certain people in their life more than even their partner. Actually, that's a weird thing to say, but but yes, it happens. It takes forever, I would like to think, to win over an ENTP as a friend, and even more so as a partner that they would really stick with for a long time, enough to, you know, commit long term. So I guess one of the things that I noted is really deep down, ENTPs care about how they view them. And so a lot of the things that they'll share or show you is but a facade. And not that it's a bad thing, it's just how we cope. So often, a lot of people misunderstood them or are used to them being just funny and carefree and all of these other things. Um, that it's hard for them to kind of be their truest self. So you have to accept them for their quirks and all. Not just their quirks, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm talking about everything. Because you don't really know an ENTP until you hear their most brutal thoughts on things like cannibalism, which is weird, but that's a joke, half joking. Um, but that's one of the things you have to be put up with, like not in a bad way, but like you have to be okay with them being weird about certain things because that's just how they think, that's how they are, and they will know if you're number one, you're easily offended, you're easily put off, you cannot be a moralistic, judgy, whatever person um, around an ENTP and expect them to open up to you. You can't. You just can't. Because if you're not someone who can have fun or take their very dark jokes, then it's harder for you to even, like, why bother even being friends with them, right? You want to be friends with someone who is honest and speaks the same language at the very least, or at least accepts them for who they are. So, you have to accept them for their quirks because if the moment that they sense any form of judgment, it's an auto bye, peace out for the ENTPs. You have to be mindful of that. You have to be wary of how you respond. Otherwise, they're unlikely to open up to you again. Like when I say this, it's like almost in the same level as, or at the same level of an INTJ and an INFJ. They're more decisive on like whether or not they want to keep someone in their life. Especially if you haven't entered it yet. Of course, if you're already in it, it's different. But if you're still trying to get close with them, it's different. Second, do not be clingy. Do not be clingy with an ENTP. An ENTP is like, I don't know what to describe them with, but they're like floating everywhere. They're here, they're not there. It's sometimes they're there, sometimes not. They're just busy doing their own thing. Of course, if you're their best friend, they'll make time for you, but if you're a random person they just met and you're trying to get close with them, you have to wait in line, buddy. So that's essentially what I'm trying to say. They do not like people who are clingy. And it's in a different way that I would describe when I talked about it with an INTJ or an INFJ. They really do not like clingy. It's like, even if you're close with them, they would not like you. Even if you're clingy, like, can you please not be clingy? They like their autonomy, their sense of freedom. They're a free bird. Let them be a free bird. And yeah, accept them. Accept that they'll just pop in and out of your life. And essentially, when you do, they'll just come to you when they're ready. And when they're ready, you have to be ready. Yeah, very out of sight, out of mind people. So you also have to do the same. But just because. Lastly, do not lie. In the words of Jordan Peterson. I'm kidding. Do not lie. Just be straightforward. Like, don't bullshit them. Just tell them what you think. They will not be easily offended unless, of course, you're super close with the ENTP. But it's very unlikely that they'll be offended. When you're honest and serious and sincere, they'll know. You can't also bullshit the bullshitter. That's really the rule over here. You can't bullshit the bullshitter. So do not even bother. Like, just be honest with them. They'll know if someone's like sincere and when someone isn't. That's just how it is. So yes, that's the way to kind of get close with an ENTP. Barely scratching the surface. It takes time, it takes energy, it takes consistency, and it takes effort, as with all things and friendships. So thank you. If you have any thoughts and questions and feelings, please leave in the comments down below. And if you're interested, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And yeah, I do type people. I offer in-depth type assessments, and you'll see the ad on the next clip after this. So thanks, everybody. Follow me on my socials at MBTI Time on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And if you're not sure if you're an INFP, INFJ, ENFP, INTJ, or any other type, book a typing session with me by visiting www.mbtitime.com. Links in the descriptions down below.